Hi everyone, welcome to another session of Building Blocks. I'm Judy Brown from the Little Fabric Garden, and today I want to take you step by step to show you another disappearing block. So today we are going to do the disappearing 9 patch. But before we start that, I just wanted to remind you or go back to kind of refresh your memories about our disappearing 4 patch, and this is what it looked like. We started with 4 squares, and then we did the diagonal disappearing 4 patch, and we started with the 4 too. So these are 2 that we've already done, and you can go back and watch the videos on these if you want to learn more about those. One thing that when I do these disappearing things, most of the blocks that I use are 5-inch squares, and there's a couple reasons that I do that. They're easy to work with, for number one, but then for anyone who wants to do these, you can go buy at a store. You can, like at a quilt shop, Joann's, Walmart even carries some of them too, that you can buy 5-inch squares, and they're in packets. And like this is what a packet looks like, and in it you usually have like 42 5-inch squares. So you wouldn't have to cut all the 5-inch squares like I did. You could just go buy a pack, and then you get a whole bunch of different fabrics, like a complete collection. So that's another reason. It makes it easier for those people that are like, oh, I really like this idea. I'd like to try it, but I don't have all those fabrics to cut into 5-inch squares. So you can, like buy a charm pack. That's what they're, one company calls them charm packs, others just call them 5-inch squares. So, that's one of the reasons that I decided to do all 5-inch squares, because then you could relate to it and you could go buy them, at the store. All right, so back to what we're supposed to be doing today. All right, so in front of me, I've got 9 5-inch squares. And if you look at these, I've got like they're diagonal in the corners, then up and down here, and then in the middle, I have just a plain block. And the reason that I do that is because most of the blocks that are going to be around the outside are kind of busy. They have a pattern to them. And if you put another busy one in the middle, when you do the disappearing act on this in a little bit, it just makes the block really busy. The solid fabric in the middle kind of tones it down a little bit so that it's not like so to your eyes when you take a look at it. So here we have 5-inch squares, and like I said, you could do them any size you want, the 4-inch, the 6-inch, whatever you want, but they all have to be the same size. All right, and so again, the ones in the corner, I have the same. Now you don't have to do it that way, but that's the way I did it. And then these guys. All right, so like we did with the other ones, we are going to sew these together. And you're going to start like this, and you're going to do the 1/4 inch seam. And in quilting, we use a 1/4 inch seam when we do that. And then you will put this over here on this side, and you will do that. You'll do the same for this row, and the same for this row, and then you will sew each the rows together, and then when you are finished, you're going to have a 9 patch. Okay, so here we have our 9 patch. Everything is sewed together. I've already sewed it together for you, and this is what we're going to do next. Now, when we started with 5-inch squares, but when you sew these together, as I said, you're going to use a 1/4 inch seam, and when you do that and you sew it all together, this one in the middle shrinks down to a 4.5-inch square because you've taken a 1/4 inch off every side. So what we have to do next is we're going to find the middle of this middle square. So if this is 4.5, the middle would be 2.25 inches. So I will measure 2.25 inches, and I better come all the way up here like this. Get those seams all adjusted. And I am going to take my rotary cutter once I get that measured, and I'm going to cut up this way. And then I'm going to do the same thing going this way. So I'm going to get 2 1/4 on that seam, and I can just take that 2 1/4 mark and I can take it all the way down because these are in line. So we can take our rotary cutter and then we are going to cut going this way also. All right, so here we see what is left after I have cut that 9 patch. And you can see that the one in the middle got cut into 4 smaller pieces. So here again, we are going to do a little bit of magic. We're going to do a little bit of turning things around, and then you're going to see some different ways that you can end up with a finished block. Now there's a couple different ways you can turn these, and it'll make the block look differently. But I only sewed one together, and I'll show you that at the end because that was the way that I liked it the best. So first of all, you can take this big one and you can turn it this way. And then you take this and you turn it this way. So now you've got the 2 greens in the middle and you have the 2 alternating greens on the outside. So that's one way to do it. So I'm going to put it back this way. Then you can take it and you can turn this one this way. This can get turned this way. This can get turned this way. This can get turned this way. So then you've got like a 4 patch in the middle with this border going around the outside. And that's another way. And then if you like that one, then you would just sew these together and then you would have that block. All right, so I'm going to put it back the way it was. And I hope I can remember what this third one was. My memory's not as good as it used to be. Okay, so now this one can go this way, and this one can go this way. And you can do it that way. So there's different ways that you can do it, but the one that I liked the best was this one. And so after you find the one that you like, then you're going to sew those 4 pieces together. Again, flip this over, 1/4 inch down here. This one, 1/4 inch this way. And then you're going to take this piece, fold it over top, and then it'll be 1/4 inch all the way across, and then you will have your block. Okay, and so then after I sewed it all together, and this is what the finished block looks like. I really, really like it, and again, you can see why I put that solid one in the middle when we first started, because if this had all been a print, you wouldn't have been able to see all the different things. It would have just been one big mishmash, and I do like it this way much better. So this is the disappearing 9 patch, and another really nice thing about this is that if you wanted to do it, the blocks are really a good size, and I did not measure them to see what the finished size would be, but they're a nice big size so that you won't need to have a lot of them. You could put a quilt together, maybe 3 across, 4 down, and you'd have a nice size lap quilt, and it wouldn't take you very long to do it at all. So, disappearing 9 patch. So if you're interested in learning how to do this or having like a paper tutorial, you can stop down at the library and they're going to have the directions, and it has pictures too because I can't do anything without pictures. So there are lots of pictures to kind of help you through this. And I'd like to thank you again for tuning in and watching, and I hope that you enjoyed watching the disappearing